I'm about to unleash on the Cleveland Browns and what is going on in Cleveland. Sickened by what I saw offensively from the Cleveland Browns. I went back, watched the film, and I almost threw up. I mean, what is going on with the Browns team right now? In the first 2 games, they have an NFL low 2.4 yards per carry in first halves. It's abysmal. Cleveland has also dropped 5 passes through 2 games. That's tied for the most in the NFL. And this is the first time in Browns franchise history that they've started 0-2 while outgaining.
The Cleveland Browns are already drowning in desperation, sitting at 0-2, and their head coach looks like he's about to fall on his sword, begging Shedeur Sanders to be the savior. Forget the playbook, forget the contracts. This is survival football at its rawest, and the panic is loud enough to shake the whole city. When a franchise starts dialing up college quarterbacks like it's a late-night telethon, you already know somebody slammed that panic button so hard it cracked in half. And trust me, this saga is turning out to be funnier than the Browns' broken playbook, and somehow even harder to believe. Instant karma doesn't just sneak up on you, it hits harder than the meanest linebacker in the league. For Kevin Stefanski, it wasn't just a hit, it was a blindside sack with no helmet, no mouth guard, nothing.
Dog, this is how I feel about this post. I feel like Stefansky is 1,000% a lock to get fired. Andrew Berry is sort of safe, y'all. Hear me out, y'all. He's sort of safe. But I think this year's draft picks might have made him safe. Think about it, y'all. He secured us a D tackle, the best D tackle in the draft. He secured us a linebacker, might be the best linebacker in the draft. Then he went ahead and drafted us 2 cold-ass running backs. Quishon Judkins already showed on Sunday he's going to be serious. With the 2 rookie quarterbacks, you got to figure out who can move your franchise forward.
The man walked into this season puffing his chest out like he had all the answers, brushing off Shedeur Sanders as if he was just some freshman in line waiting for cafeteria food. But here we are, only 2 games in, 2 ugly losses deep, and suddenly Mr. Genius wants to flip the whole script. Now he's crawling back to the same quarterback he once tossed aside. Oh, so now it's convenient? Now the desperation light bulb magically flickers on? That's the twisted beauty of karma. It never shows up late, it shows up perfect, and always when you least expect it. Karma doesn't whisper, it shouts in surround sound, blasting through every speaker in the stadium. You shove Shedeur to the side, act like your clipboard has all the secrets, and then watch those so-called answers crumble like a cheap folding chair in the middle of a thunderstorm. The Browns' offense went from being hyped as a playoff machine to looking like they forgot to even install a playbook. Fans are booing so loud the echoes could wake the dead. Rivals are clowning them nonstop, and Cleveland is already sketching out obituaries for their season. That's when Stefansky suddenly gets the bright idea that maybe, just maybe, the quarterback he treated like an afterthought might actually be the savior. That's not strategy, that's panic dressed up in khakis and a headset. The funniest part, the way opinions flip faster than a coin toss. One week it's all, the Browns can grind it out with what they've got, and the next it's daydreams of Shedeur flying in like a Marvel superhero, cape blowing in the wind, here to clean up your disaster. That's like saying you don't need a fire extinguisher, then sprinting for one after the curtains are already on fire. It's too late, and now you're choking on the smoke.
In Cleveland, you got to go through 2 individuals to insert yourself as, the starter. Dylan Gabriel, who's now the second quarterback at hand, and then obviously Joe Flacco. And when you consider those things, it's like, what situation is better?
But he didn't know that he was going to wind up in Cleveland.
No.
He didn't know that. He opted for what was behind curtain number 2 rather than the known curtain in Baltimore.
And the optics? Brutal. It's like unfollowing somebody on social media only to crawl back with a friend request once their followers explode. Nobody's buying that act. Not the fans, not the haters, nobody. This isn't just karma slapping Stefansky, it's karma roasting every single doubter who rolled their eyes at the idea of Shedeur being NFL ready. The same crowd that laughed at his game, mocked the hype, and claimed he was all smoke and mirrors is now forced to sit back and watch Cleveland go winless with quarterbacks who can't even keep the offense alive for a single 4 quarters. Those haters who swore Shedeur wasn't ready are suddenly real quiet, scrolling through stats like they're cramming for a final exam, praying nobody digs up their old hot takes.
I agree with bro that I think we might see Shedeur by London. It's bad, y'all. It's really bad. I'm ready for Dylan too, though, y'all. I understand that Dylan is the #2 quarterback on the roster. That's what I'm saying. Put him in first and then let Shedeur go get his. Y'all, eventually they gonna put Shedeur in. They not just gonna stick with Dylan Gabriel the rest of the season. I don't see that happen. Yes, I'm ready for Dylan because when Dylan gets in, that means Shedeur's closer to getting in. That's what I'm ready for. At this point, we ain't getting nothing out of it.
But the internet never forgets, and karma always saves the receipts, ready to slap you in the face when you least expect it. And here's the wild part. Shedeur doesn't even need to step on the field yet. His presence alone, just the possibility of him taking snaps, is haunting the Browns like a ghost of competence. You know it's bad when a player who hasn't even suited up has more impact than the ones actually on the field. Fans are chanting his name before he even walks out the tunnel. How humiliating is that for the guys already in uniform? This isn't just desperation, it's flat-out humiliation dressed up as strategy. It's like failing your driver's test twice and then begging the instructor to take the wheel for you. Fans aren't shocked anymore, though. They're numb from years of deja vu, watching the Browns invent new ways to collapse. And now Stefansky's big move?
Star defensive end Myles Garrett says, "This is embarrassing." He's mad about it, and everybody else should be fired up about it, but Stefansky's just keeping the same coach approach that he always does in press conferences. Me, I'm pissed off. It goes further back than this. Now the turnover battle has been lost in 9 straight games. That dates back to week 12 of the 2024 season. Cleveland hasn't forced a turnover since week 16 of last season. What are we doing? And all we're doing is giving up turnovers. Did you see the Flacco pick when he was trying to go to...
Crawling back to the same quarterback he treated like a throwaway. But here's the real kicker. Does he even realize what he's opening up? Because if Shedeur steps in and balls out, it doesn't just rescue the team, it exposes Stefansky on the biggest stage possible. Suddenly, the whole world's asking, why wasn't this move made earlier? Suddenly, all those excuses evaporate, and the narrative flips into a glowing neon sign flashing, "Coach didn't believe until he was forced." That's not leadership. That's pure survival mode. And in the NFL, survival mode is just another way of saying your job is hanging by a single fragile thread. The fans see it, the locker room sees it, the whole league sees it. Stefansky isn't leading an army, he's clinging to the last lifeboat before the entire ship goes under. This is instant karma on a national stage, so dramatic, it feels like it was scripted for TV. The same guy who wanted to flex that he could win without Shedeur can't even scrape together, wins with his own handpicked starters. The same coach who thought stubbornness made him look strong, now looks weak, bending over backward to clean up the mess he created.
2 ways you could look at it. You could look at it and be thankful and take full advantage of the opportunity, or you could look at it like, dang, this is what I've been asking for, I'm not prepared. So I would say I've been able to sleep good at night, knowing I was playing. I didn't know I was playing till, one of the days that was close. and then I just prepared it as normal. But it was definitely that switch and it kicked in. And when you out there on the field, it's different. Like, you understand, ball's ball. But ball never been a problem for me.
It's like refusing to bring an umbrella just to look tough, then sprinting through a storm, pretending you don't mind the rain while secretly hunting for the nearest umbrella stand. And what makes it all even juicier? The timing. Like clockwork, the coach who once acted like Shedeur wasn't the answer is now stuck drawing up plays in his head where Shedeur is literally the only answer. Instant karma wrapped in brown and orange misery for the whole world to see. And the funniest twist? The more desperate Stefansky gets, the worse it looks. The haters can't even laugh at this circus anymore. They're too busy choking on their pride while watching the Browns burn down their own house. Stefansky isn't just begging for help anymore. He's begging for forgiveness from the fans, from his own players, and maybe even from Shedeur himself. But here's the truth about karma. You don't get to schedule when it arrives, and you sure don't get to rewrite your stance after the fact. Either you believed from the jump, or you end up dragged through the mud later. And right now, Stefansky is ankle deep in it, flailing around trying to convince everybody that drowning in mud was part of the game plan all along.
This is why I kept saying all summer, and you guys kept yelling at me, why are you playing a 40-year-old quarterback? What is the point? What are you trying to get out of this? Why are they doing this? Well, here you go. You're playing a 40-year-old quarterback who can't move, who can't defend himself. The Ravens are dropping 7 into coverage and saying, all right, Joe, what are you going to do? What's Joe going to do? Nothing. Like, that's why there's nobody open. The Ravens weren't even blitzing yesterday. And part of it is the offensive line. DeJuan Jones, this is a major opportunity for DeJuan Jones to make himself a lot of money and prove to the Browns he can be a franchise left tackle.
That's the spectacle Cleveland has turned into. And here's where the circus really rolls into town. Because after Joe Flacco's so-called performance against the Ravens, calling it terrible almost feels polite. It wasn't just bad football. It looked like he wandered into the wrong building, thinking he was about to play in a backyard charity flag game instead of the NFL. Baltimore didn't even need to break a sweat. They stood back, watched Flacco float passes like he was mailing postcards to the wrong addresses, and grinned while the crowd groaned. The Ravens' defense looked like they were at a Sunday stroll, but Stefansky? He looked like a man watching his career go up in flames frame by frame in slow motion. The board saw it, the fans saw it, even Flacco probably knew it mid-game as he stood there wondering why he was still being asked to resuscitate an offense that flatlined right after the coin toss. That's when the whispers became screams. Get Shedeur Sanders in the game. Enough with the experiments. Fans had had it with the patchwork quarterback carousel. Tired of pretending washed-up veterans could carry this team anywhere but down. The front office finally put its foot down, and Stefansky, who'd been clinging to his stubborn stance like a guy smacking a broken TV remote one more time, hoping it'll work, had no choice but to fold. The tragic comedy here? Stefansky's refusal to listen from the start is the exact thing that dragged him into this disaster.
Shedeur got on the field. You're watching the game, Chad. There's a lot of Shedeur Sanders fans. What did you think of his first outing?
Listen, all the talk and the narratives and the storylines and whatever you want to say, sooner or later that ball's about to snap. And that young man we watched in Colorado, who's one of the best football players in the nation, is now looking like one of the best football players in the nation at another level. That's what it was. I knew the collusion and all the stuff, like I said, you want to go through. You saw what Shedeur Sanders was capable of. We all knew what Shedeur Sanders was capable of, and he's going to show that he should start there. Flacco there, Kenny Pickett was hurt, that little itty-bitty boy from Oregon, whatever his name is.
Dylan Gabriel.
Gabriel, it's a
Karma didn't just knock, it pulled up a chair and stayed for the show. Instant karma for the coach, part 2. Ignore the board, ignore the obvious, and watch your season burn out before the leaves even start to fall. And now here comes the twist of fate. The same Shedeur Sanders Stefansky wanted nothing to do with suddenly looks like the only lifeline left. With pressure closing in from every angle, Stefansky is finally preparing to throw the kid onto the field. But let's be clear, it's not because he had some master plan cooking. It's not because he suddenly saw the light. It's because the board is flat out done with his stubborn act. Nothing screams, your job is dangling by a thread, louder than being forced to play the quarterback you've resisted all along. And now Stefansky's trapped. If Shedeur balls out, the coach loses control of the story completely. If Shedeur struggles, the blame boomerangs right back on him for wasting all that time keeping him on the bench. Either way, Stefansky looks cooked. The optics are brutal. Imagine being so disconnected from your own front office that they strong-arm you into making the move you should have made weeks ago. It's like a teacher refusing to let the smartest kid in class answer a question, then after everyone bombs the test, finally calling on the one student who had the answer the whole time. If Shedeur steps in against the Ravens and lights it up, the board instantly becomes the genius masterminds, while Stefansky gets painted as the roadblock who wasted precious games. But if Shedeur struggles, the critics won't go easy. They'll demand to know why he wasn't developed earlier, why he wasn't given the chance to grow without the weight of desperation on his shoulders.
Obviously, he was going against some backup Ravens defenders. They had pulled some starters, and the Ravens were obviously, not trying very much. But Dylan Gabriel looked pretty good in his one drive. His touchdown pass was a nice throw, like getting it up over the safety or the corner, whichever it was. So that was encouraging. I feel like we kind of talked about this heading into the season, and like where a good point to see Dylan Gabriel and then, or eventually Shedeur, at least just one of these rookie quarterbacks. And we kind of had our eye on like that week 7 matchup against the Dolphins as maybe the best time.
Either way, Stefansky walks out of this looking like the villain, the guy who fought against common sense until his job was dangling by a thread. And this is the part where karma doesn't just tap him on the shoulder, it smacks him with a steel chair, full WWE-style drama for the whole league to see. The Browns board has already drawn their line in the sand. Their money, their reputation, their season, they're not about to let it all die on the hill of Joe Flacco's sad little 2-yard checkdowns. They'd rather roll the dice with Shedeur, and honestly, who can even blame them at this point? Even Flacco's most loyal defenders had to admit watching him against the Ravens felt less like a game and more like a retirement tour nobody bought tickets for. And the timing, it makes the comedy even sharper. 2 games in, Stefansky has already managed to alienate the board, rile up the fans, and toss his career into a blender set on high speed. Meanwhile, Shedeur doesn't even need to do much. Just putting on the pads, stepping onto the field, and taking a snap shifts the entire atmosphere. It's the promise of something new, something fresh, something that doesn't stink of desperation, wrapped up as leadership. The fans don't care if he's flawless. They just want a reason to believe in a future that doesn't involve watching Flacco age in slow motion, one incomplete pass at a time. And if Shedeur sparks even a little hope,
given what Shedeur went through and what you went through, watching tonight, does it make it almost more meaningful than just a football game?
I'm not going to say meaningful. We've already spoken like 3 times today. We just got off the phone joking and clowning like crazy. But he's so prepared right now. A lot of people are approaching it like a preseason game. He's approaching it like a game. And that's how he's always approached everything, to prepare and to approach it like this is it. I just can't wait to see him get down tonight. But it's going to be a little weird. It's going to be a little strange.
he won't just win the game, he'll win the entire city. This is where the drama hits peak level, because the minute Shedeur Sanders takes that field, it's not just a game. It's a spotlight brighter than anything Cleveland has seen in years. The fans aren't just cheering for a quarterback, they're screaming for redemption, for a new chapter, for somebody who can finally erase the stench of failure that's been hanging over this team like a storm cloud. Stefansky knows it too. That's why his every move looks shaky, like a man trying to juggle knives blindfolded. If Shedeur shines, the story flips instantly. Stefansky becomes the coach who stood in the way of greatness until the board forced his hand. And if Shedeur struggles, the critics won't just roast Shedeur, they'll tear Stefansky apart for wasting valuable time that could have been used to prepare him. It's a no-win trap for the coach, but for the fans, it's pure electricity. Every snap Shedeur takes feels like history in the making. Even before he throws his first touchdown, he's already given Cleveland something they haven't had in forever. Hope. Real, raw, contagious hope. And in a city starved for a hero, that's bigger than any stat line. So Stefansky's predicament couldn't be clearer. Play Shedeur, look like you caved to the board, and pray the kid bails you out enough to make you look a little less foolish.
Sanders is a ball player, fellas, and I love that he went out there. You can say what you want about that man. Sooner or later, that ball's about to snap in the middle of that field between that 100 and that 53, and we're going to see what football's about, and Shedeur showed.
Yeah, no, Shedeur showed up. Well, in the words of Denny Green, he is who we thought he was. This is the same person we've seen the last 4 or 5 years, from Jackson State to Colorado, always poised. I'm not just talking about on the field. He's always poised off the field. The interviewers, the reporters, they try and rattle him. You get all this stuff on social media. He's always Shedeur Sanders. Smiling, respectful, knowledgeable, and that's what you get. Dion did an amazing job.
Don't play him, and you risk another ugly loss that could push the fan base into a full-blown riot in the dog pound. This is what instant karma looks like when it grows legs, marches straight into your locker room, and dares you to say no. The coach, who once refused to listen now, has no choice but to obey. And in the process, he's gone from supposed leader to helpless passenger on a runaway train. Stefansky doesn't control the Browns' season anymore. It's bigger than wins and losses now. It's about whether he can even survive the fallout of his own pride and stubbornness. And the irony couldn't be sharper. The very quarterback he dismissed is now the one who could save him, expose him, or do both at the exact same time. Either way, the circus isn't slowing down, and the so-called ringleader looks more and more like the clown with every passing snap. The spotlight is brutal, the pressure is suffocating, and Cleveland is watching every move like it's a prime-time soap opera. And if you made it this far, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who loves the drama, because this story is only getting wilder. See you on the next one.